Good morning, Greg here, burning both ends. Burn on the front end of Thursday, July 12th, 2018, 6:26 a.m. Pacific. And first thing I want to get into here is just this iCore program and how this is just totally helping me elevate my game. So this iCore program is this tech transfer entrepreneurial training offered by DOE. It's offered by a bunch of other government agencies as well. Really proud for our federal government for pushing this program. It's really important. And so we learn about ecosystem, lean business, the business model canvas, the lean startup model, customer discovery interviews. And I'm really enjoying it. It's so much work, but it's very fulfilling work as well. It's just, there's so much to do. There's so much to learn. Right, we get into all kinds of things like revenue stream. We get into the value chain, kind of where we sit in the value chain, providing value to our customers and our customers, and like so on down the line, and then back upstream, who's supplying value to us so we can deliver these products or services. Kind of getting into all that, and then understanding all the market research and data that needs to be collected to put numbers and to kind of quantify and qualify those models. And then, the end game result is this business model canvas, which essentially, documents or kind of draws out the business model and whether or not this thing can be profitable. And it's, and the foundation of it are these customer discovery interviews, which are really interesting and really, I don't say tough to get, because they're not tough to get. It's the epitome of patience and persistence. Is filling this pipeline of potential people that are that you have to get their attention, or I have to get their attention, get them on the phone, get them in person, get my team there as well, and then do our best to just get them talking about the industry, so we can just kind of shut up and listen, take notes, and just keep them talking and try to steer them in a direction that's going to support us. And the goal is that we don't talk very much, right? Because if we're talking a lot, then we've kind of ruined essentially the interview in a way, because now we're starting to bias. Like, I'm there to learn about the industry, and I know nothing about the industry, so why am I talking at this interview? I'm just setting up sort of a space for them to walk into. And I have to admit, it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of work, and it's really been helping me up my game, because it's forcing me to really manage my time. It's like being in a startup, to choose what activities I really need to be doing. And I find this is like the toughest thing in life. If I want to get ahead, if I want to elevate my game, if I want to put myself in a space I've never been in before, or I want to move in a direction that is very exciting, that's the toughest thing. It's this time management game. It's understanding priorities. And I know I've mentioned this before. It's and I think the root of that is clarity, right? How are we clear on, or how am I clear on how I want to spend my time, on choosing the activities that I want to do today, in what order, like what's really important, what can wait till tomorrow, what can wait till the afternoon, what can wait till tonight, that's not so time sensitive that it needs to hit today. What do I need to send out by 10 a.m. today, because I need to give it time to circle back, and then I'll hear back from someone at 3 or something like that, right? It's, and a lot of that comes from clarity. And I think then one step upstream of clarity is organization, right? How can I be clear on things if I'm not organized on some level? And organization means something different for all of us. I think that if you walk into my life, what you would find my desk is rather messy. My physical space is rather messy, but then you walk into my computer and you would find a good amount of organization there. And this is what the Success Journal is all about. The Success Journal is a place for that organization. And really how it's been working for me is it's got like 3 buckets to put things in. One bucket is where am I focusing? What's on my horizon? Well, what are the things that so now that I have the organization, or once I put the organization in place and then I have the clarity, what are the things I'm focusing on? And then the next thing it's got, right? So so those focus items, when I get to like a longer term goal than just past today, let's say, what are those success steps, as I call them, or as they're called? Russell Cox developed this, as far as I know. What are those like milestones? What do those look like? Okay, so here, and I'll use a for example, right? So I have this side hustle, and it's this nonprofit widget. You'll see it. The Success Journal is linked down below, and you can see it. It is row 7. So it's this nonprofit widget opportunity. So this is going to become my side hustle. It is right now, but not in a big way because I'm focusing on iCore. So once iCore finishes, I'm going to really put a lot of effort into that. And so, for example, a month ago, one of the long-term goals there was executing an agreement so I could actually begin working officially on that project. And what that meant was a bunch of successes, which is the middle column, that get me to executing that agreement. That's the major milestone. And those little successes are obviously review the agreement, make sure that I'm happy with it, ask any questions with Peter and his company about the agreement. In fact, the agreement was extremely straightforward. I was really impressed with it. And then my company has to also approve it because they need to know that if I'm doing side work, and they need to get some language in the agreement. And so it was learning about that language, putting it in the agreement, talking with Peter and his company, making sure that they were cool with it. It was super easy. So that was awesome. And then I have to get into a process with my company on how this agreement, now that it's complete, not executed, but complete, how do they review it now? And it has to go up and down a chain of command. It's got to go through my supervisor up to his supervisor and so on, and then back down. And then there's a whole office that handles that kind of process. And so it was learning about talking with the person that runs that process. What do I have to do? Start doing it, and then probably answer a bunch of questions in person about the agreement and why I'm doing it and so on and so forth. And then giving it the space to go up and down the chain of command, come back down to me. It was a lot of follow-ups, and so the whole process took a month, almost to the day. Actually, it took about a month, and then it was approved, and then not quite there yet, right? Right. Then I have to sign it, obviously, and then I have to send it back to Peter, and then I have to get confirmation that he's received it, and we're good to go. And so all those little successes I described, right? So the focus item is nonprofit widget, and moving forward with that, and putting myself in a position to begin that work. The success step is executing the agreement, and then all the little successes in there get me to that. And just, a couple weeks ago, I executed the agreement, and so now the next, so the focus item stays the same, right? It's still like it's like the long-term vision. The success steps are the main milestones, and so now the next main milestones is to complete, and I have written down 1 month of training. I don't know if it's going to be a month. Maybe I should change that. It's just complete like a round of training. I'm just imagining that it's a month. This is not so complicated, but I think in about a month, if we can do like 1 hour a week, and then there's like some good homework assignments for me, and there's some good back and forths. I think in a month we can kind of get through the bulk of things, and so that's the next success step, is completing that. And so what does that look like? So that looks like, okay, I gotta, I've already confirmed with Peter that he's open to that. Actually, he's like ridiculously open to it. And his comment was, "I'll give you as much training as you'd like," and I love that about Peter. He's such a just fantastic entrepreneur. He's so, I don't know, he is such, and I'll use the word epitome again, the epitome of what I want to be as an entrepreneur. Just is just excited, just open, just full of energy, just full of just love and giving and service. And that's what I see in him. That's what, inspires me. And I think that's what connected us, because this is the direction I'm moving in, being of service. And that's why I love this nonprofit widget opportunity, because that's exactly what it is. It's essentially, right, fast forward a year from now, because of the work I'm going to be doing in the next year for this widget, but with this widget, nonprofits will be getting more money in donation, and substantially. Like, that's the goal, is like, because of the work I'm doing, this number of nonprofits are going to be collecting more donations because of our widget. It's very exciting. It's so simple, but that's such a wonderful thing, because, I know money is can be a tough subject for some people. It's definitely, there's some sensitivity with me around it still. I'm still working on that, but there's no doubt that it is a serious fuel that can get things done, right? There are things in my life that I can only solve with money, right? I can't pay my rent with service. I can't pay my rent with love or a good attitude. I gotta write a check, so on and so forth, right? I can't pay my cell phone bill. I can't, I can't go to the grocery store and barter with them. I mean, maybe I could try to do that, but is that really worth the time? I mean, and I understand that about nonprofits, and they're doing these amazing things, and I've been talking with a very good friend of mine, Ashanti, who has a nonprofit, Ever Forward Club, and that's he is constantly just in this fight to get money. And I just came back from Semicon West, and there was a whole 3-hour panel discussion on the main stage with some high-level folks, all about going after money. And the constant message is, you as a startup, you as a company, you need to be constantly keep an eye on your cash flow, your money. That's your monthly burn, and how many days, weeks, months till bankruptcy, right, in the early stages. And then when's your next round of funding, and are you working on that right now? Even though you don't need it now, you need it 6 months from now. Get started right now. That's the consistent message. So now, so a year from now, that's like the big focus item. So my next, success step. So now let's come back to the success step of this month of training, because I really feel that after this month of training, I'll call it a month. It could be 2 months. It could be 3 months. I don't know. I'm just calling it a month for now. Then I'll be able to really get into execution, because I'll be able to leverage the tactics that Peter trains me on. I'll have a much better understanding how to approach these companies. And then I can just start. It's going to be a lot like the customer discovery interviews. I'm just going to be filling a pipeline and executing a process, or filling a pipeline by executing a process. And so this next success step is getting through this training. And so I've already got confirmation from Peter that he's excited to do it. Next thing we got to do is we got to structure it together, and I feel I got to take the lead on that because he's real busy, so I'm just going to throw some ideas at him. I'm thinking that what we can do is we can do some kind of like capture or record of this training, so that way he can deploy it to other people as he grows the company, because that's critical, right? It's about leveraging work we're already doing. I mean, it doesn't make sense is if every person he brings onto the company, he's got to go through this month of training. It's more like, let's go through it with me, let's capture it in some form, audio, video, presentate, whatever it is. Now we have it. Now it's archived. Now we bring someone on. Now they go through it. Maybe I can bring them through it, right? It's Peter's, in all the videos or on all the audios, but I'm the one guiding the person through it, right? So you can see how leverage can be built there. And so, anyway, so the next step is or the next success step is setting those up, or success is setting those up. Getting a schedule with Peter, so that's going to be working with his assistant, getting on a calendar, right, getting some agendas ready, and you can kind of see how it's going to take another like 10 or so successes to hit that success step. And then, of course, it's a matter of just going through the training and then seeing, is it a month? Is it 4 times 1 hour gets it done? Or do we need 8 times 1 hour? Or do we need 4 times 2 hours? Or so on and so forth. And I don't know, but the only thing I do know is what the next thing I have to do is, because that will tell me what then the following, it's that classic going down the river, and it's a windy river, and I can only see as far as the next bend, and so let's get to the next bend to see what's going, around the corner. And so this, back to organization, back to clarity, this success journal really, I'm really appreciating it. It's really the foundation for that. And I'm loving it, and I'm loving this 1 week chunk that I'm putting out, not putting out, but that I'm, how I'm structuring it. So I'm structuring it one week at a time. That might change. I don't think so for now. I think 1 week is great. It's easy to think about a week and what I can do in a week. It's easy to think about the 5 weekdays and then 2 weekend days and so on and so forth. It's easy to think about this week, next week, if it's, anyway, it's really providing a lot of good things. There's a lot of gratification in writing the word done after these little successes. A lot of gratification, and so what I'm doing is I'm bolding success steps, and some of the success steps are never going to be complete, right? Like, so for example, with my wife, right, we have our monthly date night, we have our weekly lunch, and that's just our reoccurring success step, and so that's never going to go away. Let's see what else we got up there. I think a lot of these will go away. Like also you'll see for iCore, there's a bunch of things that are just ongoing. Like, for example, schedule, and I changed the one under interviews. I just had execute and document 75 plus interviews because I had 15 per week, but now it's just I just wanted to change it to the overall. Just this is the whole course. So this is really providing a good framework to enable it provides the organization to enable clarity. And with and this is my thing, with organization comes clarity. With clarity comes the ability to prioritize. With the ability to prioritize, now I can execute. And that kind of those first three, that's the overall umbrella there is planning. And a lot of people don't like planning. They think it's a waste of time. I've heard this before. Because we're not executing when we're planning. We're not actually moving the project forward technically, like physically moving it forward. We're not we're thinking about what we should be doing. And I can see why certain folks might not really like that, or just think it's like a waste of time. But I find it to be incredibly important. So, and then other things I'm working on. So I was talking about some of my sloppiness, and this is something that happens to me is I get far into something and I start to kind of like move away from like the discipline. And so I was talking about uploading these interviews to Innovation Within for the iCore program, right? Because that's a lot. It's easy to show up to the interview and just be there and have the discussion in a half an hour, 45 minutes. Go, oh, that's some cool stuff. Write it down and then move away and then not do anything. The hard part is setting up the interview and then on the back end, documenting, getting it up in Innovation Within, which is our cloud platform that documents all the stuff, or that allows us to document all the stuff. Pulling out the insights and incorporating those into our lean startup model. And so I've been a bit lazy about doing that back end of the interview. Something that I have been very good about doing is after the interview, we record a little like 3 to 4 minute audio of the high level takeaways of the interview. And so that's been just a gold mine. And I have the whole team, surround the phone, and we just kind of pass it around, and each person probably gets about 1 to 2 minutes, there's no time limit, but that's about what it ends up being. And this really helps us kind of remember what's going on, because if I'm really going to take everyone's notes and then like try to figure out what was important and what wasn't, that's going to be very difficult. And so I have all those. I uploaded all those to Innovation Within yesterday. So our interview count right now is at 66. We have 1 today, and I think 1 tomorrow. And then I'm going to an event where I'll probably get about 3 or 4 tomorrow. So we're in very good shape to finish strong here. And then I got a whole bunch in the pipeline. The Semicon West, I have about, let's have a look here. Got all my business cards, right? So I take these business cards and I write on them what I need to do, right? So here's a person I met, and I have to set up a call next week with them. Here's a person I met. They're going to connect me with someone at their company that can help us. So I sent them the one pager that describes our project, and I even wrote, I sent one pager, follow up, done, right? Not done, but now I know. I have to send this guy the one pager. I got to connect with, so all these guys connected with him on LinkedIn yesterday. This is how I do things, because at these conferences they're gold mines, and this is the best way. So this is still like old school analog style here, right? This is not new agey. Let me tap on my phone and do something. This is like, let me get out a pen and write down something. And sometimes that is the most efficient way to do things. And I remember when I was running the automation business in Sarasota, definitely was an old school automation business, and we had time cards. And I thought, everyone's handwriting, let's get these in Google Sheets. It'll be so much easier. And that really didn't work. And what I found was the most efficient way to do it was writing them down. Was the most efficient way to do it. And sometimes that's how it rolls. That's sometimes that is the best way, is some like old school analog way to do something. And I'm a big believer in talking to people face to face, pressing the flesh as they call it, because in this world of like internet and everything's online, everyone just thinks the email is the way to go, or some online platform. Now you can do a lot with those, don't get me wrong. I love LinkedIn. I'm making so much headway with LinkedIn and connecting with people and setting up these interviews, but at the same time, don't forget how important it is to meet people, see people, look people in the eye. Like I was doing a customer discovery interview at Semicon West, and I had like a perfect person. He was like an executive vice president of marketing and engineering, so he really knew the technical, but he also knew what their customers wanted, which is essentially my customer's customer. And he mentioned he described a product that he knows his customer would love to have. And as he described it, he leaned in and his eyes bulged out, and he smiled, and I could see the excitement. And he even mentioned it twice at 2 points in the interview, and the same thing happened in each time. And you can't get that over the phone. Maybe if you're really listening, you can hear some of that, but there's just a difference about being in front of someone. But at the same time, sometimes emails, phone calls, you got to do them all. I find you got to have like the full buffet of communication styles, or not styles, but methods, right? The full buffet of communication methods. This whole thing, I'm a firm believer that email has to go away at some point as a business communication tool. As a personal, that's going to be hard to get rid of, but as a business communication tool, email is a tough thing. It can be like a way to begin a conversation, but then it should move into some other platform that is more conducive to connecting and staying, and keeping the relevant stuff together. So there you go. So a lot of interesting stuff this morning. I hope you enjoyed it. This is all about my journey as an aspiring entrepreneur, the things I'm doing, the successes, the failures, the struggles, right? So I'm struggling. I got to clean up this slop. Also, just one more thing here on my Secrets of the Millionaire Mind 90-day course, and tomorrow will be day 90 of another round, and so I'll be starting over again. Day 1 will be Saturday. I had the act in spite of fear. So what have I been fearing to do? And one of the things I've been fearing to do is get my nose in some of these technical papers that my scientific friends here on my team wrote. I've glossed through them, but I'm going to take the advice of Jim, who was this gentleman that I met last week, who just dropped this crazy wisdom on me. And he was like, you got to read these things by smart people, get your nose in them, get out a dictionary, have the internet, and just go through it slowly and understand it completely. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to start that process today. So that's my act in spite of fear. I don't know if I'll finish that today, because I don't know how long it might take. But I'm going to start that today. I've got some good books to help me. Obviously, the internet. I've got some great people that I can ask questions of. But that's my act in spite of fear thing, is to read one of these papers, get through it completely, and understand it completely. Because being able to eloquently speak about this technology, and I'll take a step back. Understanding the process through which I can understand these technologies. Because if the way that I see myself moving is, I want to move in a direction where I'm doing this kind of work on a regular basis. And so I'm constantly being fed new ideas and new technologies, and how quickly can I understand what traction it may have? And the only way to do that is to understand the technology and where it could apply. And so the only way to do that is to learn about it, right? And the only way to do that is to read these papers. These papers, there's a reason why these guys write these things. It's not just because they're bored. It's because this is the main communication tool. So it's the foundation. And so that's where we start. So I'm going to rock with that today. So this channel is all about my journey. Thanks for sticking in on this post. The Success Journal is working great. I love the iCore program. I love the structure it's given me, and I'm just going to leverage that and just roll right into that nonprofit widget with the same type of structure. Because business is business. It doesn't matter what you're selling, what you're providing. The foundations are all the same. All right, it's about people's attention, as Gary Vee would say. Huge fan of Gary Vee. So, all right, I will wrap there. So subscribe, comment down below. Tell me how you're doing, how your journey's going. Give me some feedback on what I'm doing. Ask questions. I want to be of service, so please, ask me to help you with stuff. And what else I got down there? There's some good motivational links down below, things that really got me on this path this year. There's some great music down there. There's ends down there. There's stuff about the Success Journal down there. And then the beat in the background is the Afro beat inspired by Fela Kuti and Tony Allen. Fela is the father of Afrobeat. Tony Allen is definitely the father of Afrobeat drumming. Love his style. And so it's G Money's my alter ego. I've been writing. I've been playing drums for a few decades, so I write these drum beats. So check it out on SoundCloud if you like that kind of thing. And then go out this today. It's Thursday. It's a great day to go out. Just crush it, light things up, inspire folks, do great things, and I will see you tonight.